Hey there, I'm Terry Edward Bryceland, and welcome to our channel. If you're new here, I am the creative dictator at TEV Interiors Inc. And today is a new episode of Who the Fuck Is with Steven Southgate. Steven is one of the unsung heroes that work behind the scenes on your favorite HGTV design shows. They're the people that actually bring all of the designs to life and into the screen for you to see. If you've watched HGTV in, let's say, the past 2 decades, then you have seen Steven's work for sure. He's worked with some of the biggest names in design television. People like Candice Olson, the Property Brothers, Hilary from Loved or Licit, and even me. We're going to talk about where he came from, where he grew up, how he got to where he is today, and even how he and I met, which was on the set of Divine Design. And of course, we're going to spill some tea with some behind the scenes secrets and stories of some of your favorite HGTV shows. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi, Steven Melanie Southgate.
Hello, Terry.
Thank you for joining us here on Who the Fuck Is. And sending us on a journey to find out who the fuck is Steven Southgate.
Who the fuck is that?
I don't even know.
Maybe we'll know by the end of this.
Maybe I'll discover something I didn't know before.
First off, where are you from?
I grew up in Woodstock, Ontario, which is about halfway between Kitchener and London. Small town, 30,000 people. Lived there until I was 20 years old.
That's a long time.
Oh, my entire childhood.
Your entire childhood, yeah. So that was only 5 years ago. You moved away. Got you.
We just recently left home.
And now, what did your parents do? Were they in the design industry at all?
My father worked in a tubing factory, like a steel tubing factory.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And my mother was a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 older sisters. They're quite a bit older. Quite a bit. They're going to see this. They're older. My sister just above me is 9 years older than I am.
And then there's one more even older?
16 years older than I am.
Wow, that's crazy.
I never really grew up with them. Like they, built-in babysitters.
Right.
And then by the time I was 12, my sister Lori had gotten married.
Right. So you never really got to have a childhood with them.
No. I didn't grow up. I don't consider. It's not that kind of sibling relationship. It's a I'm their little brother kind of thing, as opposed to we were never like friends who hung out like
right.
Siblings who are closer in age.
Do you does it ever feel like maybe you were the only child?
Well, yeah, sometimes, and because I was the only boy, so.
Oh, that too. What did little Steven do? Were you always this creative little designy guy?
Yeah, I would say so. I was when I was a kid, I could have got. When you think about the things that I like to do, because I would set out my clothing the night before school, so I would pick my clothes before school. So I could have. Going into some sort of a fashion thing probably would have been a possibility.
Were you color coordinating it all?
Coordinating it. The older I got, when you become a teenager, then I would buy like Details magazine, and then kind of copy fashions that were in that. And then I got to a point where I needed to. Well, I mean, pretty early I was picking my own clothes. So then I remember there was a point at which I wanted a breeches. Do you remember breeches?
No, what's that?
It was like a preppy Ralph Lauren kind of line. And I wanted a breeches linen pastel plaid button down.
Yeah.
And my mother wouldn't buy it for me because it was too expensive. And she couldn't wash it in the washing machine. So that was the first piece of clothing that expensive piece of clothing, or any piece of clothing probably, that I bought myself. As soon as my sister Lori moved out, I got to move into her bedroom, and I got to decorate the bedroom. So we wallpapered one wall and bought curtains and a bedspread from Sears, from the Sears catalog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I did all my mom would just hand me, my brother and I, the Sears catalog, and we would just, I'd write a T, he'd write a K beside anything we wanted.
Yeah, so I decorated the room, and I was always moving my furniture around and changing different configurations. And I had a bed that I was pushing around all the time, and I broke the leg. So Dad put wheels on my bed, and I didn't know. I was a little gay boy in the 80s in a small town. So I didn't know what I could be. And, honestly, I was afraid to be anything that was,
of course,
fashion or design or hair or makeup or all the other things that, I was interested in. I didn't do anything that drew any more attention to that.
And not even just in the small towns. I mean, for sure, I bet it was worse in the small towns, but in that day and age, it wasn't as open or as friendly as it is today. Like you get your ass kicked if anybody found out you were gay. That was it.
Yeah. So I did it the least amount of gay things as I possibly could.
You're making up for it now, Steven.
Yeah, exactly.
Were your parents supportive of it? I guess they were. Yeah, your dad put wheels on your bed. Of course they were supportive of it.
And they knew that I feathered my hair, I highlighted my hair, I cared about what I wore. And then when I was 21, I guess I met a boy.
In Woodstock?
In Woodstock.
Oh.
And that boy was moving to London. And so I was hanging out in London, and I went to get a job in London, and I applied for a job there, and I got a job at Le Chateau.
Is Le Chateau still around? I think they've just recently shut down, haven't they?
Some of them. I don't think they're all shut down.
Maybe. I don't know either. But for those who won't remember or are too young to even know, they were like, you got like cool club clothes from there.
It was the cool place. It was the cool place to shop. There was no, all there was Club Monaco. That was the only competition. And then there was
that was the preppy tie.
Right. So if you're the same age range, but there was no H&M, there was no Zara, there was no so if you wanted anything that was remotely different, you had to go to Le Chateau.
Le Chateau was very fancy.
Yes, it could be,
but it was all that shiny, non-breathable polyester.
Yeah, we did all that. I worked there when Delight came out.
Yeah.
So we had Pucci inspired jumpsuits.
Oh my God.
And wedge shoes, like Fluvog ripoff shoes.
That's awesome.
High-waisted pants with collarless blazers, big shoulder collars.
And that was for the men, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
That was for the men. The big giant, what's his name? MC Hammer pants with the little short bolero blazers.
Yeah. And I worked with all sorts of kids. I worked with, club type kids and, goth kids and preppy kids and,
Okay, but wait, what were you then? Were you a preppy kid or were you a goth?
No, I was, I had sideburns. Nobody had sideburns in 1989. I had sideburns before Dylan on 90210. But I would wear like black knit pants with a black blazer with a mock neck, shirt underneath, and like chunky,
the big thick sole.
Yeah, like a Doc Marten kind of ripoff.
B-52s ish.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Like a Depeche Mode, Virgins occasionally on a Duran Duran kind of.
Of course.
If I wanted a little bit of color. So because so basically then I decided I was going to go to school. A friend of mine kind of talked me into applying to go to Fanshawe College in London.
Okay.
And I applied to the design program and I got in. So I worked part-time at Le Chateau and I went to school at Fanshawe, which at that time was you'd get a diploma in interior design. Then I quit Le Chateau and got a part-time job at a high-end furniture store.
And where is that boy you moved to London for at this
Oh,
point?
long gone.
Okay, good.
Long gone. I mean, that's interesting. When I first came out, he was a very different kind of gay than I was, or I didn't know. So, I was with him, and I didn't, none of his friends had jobs. He didn't have a job.
Okay.
Nobody had a car. They all had these little teeny tiny apartments above bars in downtown London. They went out every night. They didn't seem to have savings or pets or anything like that. And then maybe, I don't know, 6 months into living in London, I met people who were they had cars, they had, jobs, retail jobs or banking jobs or all of that kind of stuff.
They had a path in life.
They had a path. So, and I didn't know that, I really didn't know that, there were other gay people out there who were just like me, who, you have a job, you have a family, you have a pet, you have an apartment, you have a bank account.
You grow up.
You grow up.
Yeah.
So I evolved away from him. And when I was done school, I went to work at this high-end furniture store, which was super high-end stuff. So people would come in on the style of like a Du Bois or a art shop, that kind of thing. So high-end furniture and design work. And then they decided they were going to go to business. So I had my own apartment. I had bought furniture. And then they decide they're going to go out of business. And luckily enough, the manager of the store had connections in Toronto, and she got me an interview at a high-end furniture store here in Toronto. So then I decided I was going to move to Toronto.
So how long did it take before you ventured into the television world of design?
I was working at a high-end store here in the city, and I saw an advertisement for a show. They were looking for a host for a show called One House, Two Looks.
Oh, I remember that show.
Yeah. So they were hosting. The other person was the one designer was Jane Lockhart.
Yeah.
And they were looking for the male counterpart.
What was his name again? Who they ended up doing that?
Jason Cass.
Jason Cass, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't get that, but I did. I sent my resume to, or my application. It was a resume to Fusion Television, and 2 years later, I think I got a call from
just out of the blue.
Just out of the blue, from Maureen Riley.
A mutual friend of ours that we know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she called me and asked me if I wanted to come in and audition to be the on-camera design assistant for a show, which did not have a name at the time. I think at the time it was called Design Diva.
And did you know who the designer was at the time?
Nope. Oh, yes. Yes, because
they told you who it was.
Yes, with Candice, and I knew that who Candice was because she was always on City Line.
Right. So City Line was a show that was on.
It's still on.
Yeah. And then, but every Thursday they would do a home day, and they would have interior designers come on, and they would present something. Maybe they would do a little DIY project, but some sort of interior design project. And then somebody from the audience, and these people came prepared, man. These people knew that they were coming there to talk to these designers, and they had floor plans and drawings and photos, and they had everything they needed. And they wanted, hey, what should I do with my home?
Yeah, and they would put it up on the little cardboard placard with the little photos. Yeah, so that's
where Candice started.
Right, and she was very, she has a full design degree and background, but on City Line, all you ever saw with Candice was crafty kind of, not little crafty, but DIY design.
But that was the thing back then. Everything was very sponge painting and DIY. It was all do it yourself. It was all very kitschy, but that was the trend.
And the only time you ever saw a real design project was someone big, like, Brian Gluckstein would come in or something like that.
And what's her name? Kimberly Seldon.
Yeah. Ray Staples. Ray Staples.
Oh,
you remember her?
She was like and honestly, and I'm not just saying this because of my history with her, but I loved it when Candice was on and Ray Staples. They were my two I wanted to see every time they were on. I was very excited every time.
Well, a Ray Staples story. The one thing that Ray Staples used to say was, if you leave something in a room that you go, oh, you know what, I don't like it, but we'll work around it, that's going to be the worst thing in that room, and it's always going to bug you. So you don't ever do that.
And I agree with that point. That's
Yeah.
that's a very valid point. It's
I
the
don't
one
like
thing that
this.
you'll always look at and
Yeah.
you'll always resent.
That ruins the room. You know, I don't like this, but we're going to keep it because we have to,
Yeah.
or some obligation or something like that. And it would be, you will always walk into that room and that thing will ruin that room for you. There's nothing you can do to make it good. It works. I mean, it not only works in design, like leaving like something in a room, but it's also like if you do a renovation and you go, oh, you know what, we're not going to change the floor, or we're not going to change, you know, it'd be great to move that doorway, but we're not going to do it because whatever.
Usually budget.
Right. That you have to really be prepared for. Okay, well then that's what you're going to be looking at for the next little while. So
yeah. And it's going to bug the shit out of you for a really long time. You're always going to look and go, ah, I should have just moved the door.
I should have just changed it. Why didn't I just change it?
Yeah.
Or if it's budget, really, you know, you really have to decide that you don't want to spend that extra, you know, $500, $1,000, whatever.
Or take it from something else that can be done later. New flooring and moving a door, you need to do right now. You can't do that late. You can't save up and do that later.
Right. You can live, let's say you need to live with a couch or something like
right.
that. Yeah,
right.
that's easily changed. But things that you can't, you know, while you're doing them, you should be changing them.
All right, back to Candice.
Yeah. So I went for an audition at a loft in downtown Toronto.
What year is this?
2001.
Okay. 20 years. Holy shit. That's 20 years ago, Steven. Holy crap. Okay.
So I went for an audition at a loft in downtown Toronto with Candice and a cameraman and Angela Jennings, who is also somebody I still work with.
Yeah.
And an executive from W Network, because it was on W Network at the time.
Right.
And I auditioned and I got the job. I mean, a cute story with regards to when you don't think you want to do something. I stood at the door of the loft out on the street and considered not buzzing the buzzer and considered not going.
Anxiety, like you were.
I was afraid. I was afraid.
Right.
It was a big deal. And the only reason, I mean, the reason I went in was because a PA who was opening the door for people came to the door and opened it and asked me if that's who I was before I buzzed.
Wow.
Yeah. So whether I would have buzzed or not, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good, you know, you never know when you open a door, what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. But it could also be, speaking of doors, it could be that whole, should I move the door or not? It'll always be that, oh, I should have just buzzed. I should have just pushed the buzzer. What the fuck was I thinking? Just fucking push it. So good thing you did. Good for you.
And then, and I had my audition and I got the job and I quit my job at the furniture store and I was an on-camera design assistant.
And that was her first show, right?
That was her first show.
Divine Design.
And I was a design assistant on 26 episodes, the first two seasons.
Okay.
And then they did a little retooling of the show. And they wanted.
Sorry, but wait, because it was just the two of you back then, right?
No, it was me and Candice and Chico.
Oh, Chico was there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had a painter.
Okay.
Jerry, and we had a carpenter named Marshall.
Okay.
And they just decided they needed people that Candice could talk to where they're giving her information on things she doesn't know.
Right.
As opposed to a design assistant, because they just wanted to focus on Candice getting information from an electrician, a painter. and a carpenter. And instead of a design assistant, we decided we were going to have a sewing specialist.
Which was Edmund.
No,
Oh, there was another.
Marco.
Oh, I don't remember this.
But yes, then there was Edmund. Yeah, so then my job evolved from being the design assistant I turned into a design supervisor, because when we started the show, Candice thought she could do all the work. Candice thought she could do all the designs for all the episodes. And back then, we only did one room in a house.
Right.
Brine Design only did one room in a house. There's no design shows that only do one room in a house. And Candice thought she could do them, and then it turned out that she could not do them all on her own. So we ended up we hired more design assistants. This was kind of the evolution of an associate designer. Associate designer are the designers who work in television behind the cameras.
Yeah, see, a lot of people don't realize that. They think that the people they're seeing on camera do all the work. And a lot of times they don't do any of the work.
A lot of the time
I'm one of those people, but
yeah.
Candice though was different. Candice did a lot of the work.
Right.
She was the one different.
Right. And as the show evolved, she just got busier and busier and busier. So they were bringing in design associates. And before that, I would say the vast majority of design shows, which there weren't a lot back then.
Right.
The person who was the host was also trying to be the designer. But I think that was kind of the we need to have these behind the scenes people. So we kind of, because we were so new, we were kind of inventing all these, an associate designer. We needed like project coordinators and construction coordinators and all these people behind the scenes.
Oh, there's a giant crew of people behind that designer you're watching on television. Behind that person, there are so many people standing behind the camera watching and waiting. As soon as the camera stops, all of a sudden there's like 30 people will jump into the scene and keep going and like, okay, everybody out, everybody out. They got to jump back out again, film a quick little scene of like, oh no, the tile hasn't arrived. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do?
Right.
Cut. And then 30 people come running back in again and keep going and painting and cutting and sewing and everything. It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we can only shoot so much, but the entire project has to get finished. So we got to a point where Candice wasn't able to do anything because she was coming out with furniture lines and fabric lines and lighting lines, and she was traveling. And as the show evolved, so then we had a whole team of people. I became the design supervisor, so I was in charge of the person who was getting the free stuff for the show, and the design associates and the design assistants. I was kind of a catalyst between the production and the design.
So speaking of free stuff, explain that part for everybody, because I think, and it used to be this way back in the day, even back in those days, everybody has this vision of, oh my God, I want to be on one of those shows and I want Candice to come and do my house for free.
Right.
How does all that work? What's really going on about that in the background?
Okay. So the vast majority of shows, when it comes to free stuff, if you were lucky enough to be on a television show anywhere between 2000 and 2008,
yeah,
you got a lot of free stuff.
A lot.
There were a lot,
if not the whole thing free.
Yes, if not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Labor, you contractors and laborers, you always paid for.
Well, a couple of the other shows that I worked on, they $0 they paid, and they got full on brand new rooms. Yeah. $0. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, we did have a period of time where that happened until we did an episode where. We reupholstered all their furniture. It was a multi tens of thousands of dollars that we were paying. It kind of got over it kind of went over the top. Right. But back then, suppliers wanted to give us product for free. They wanted their product shown on shows. There were less television shows.
Yeah,
like there were less. HGTV wasn't a thing, or wasn't very big.
Well, I think HGTV in the States was pretty big. HGTV Canada wasn't
right.
as big.
So as shows opened up, then the suppliers wanted their products. So, ooh, Candice is going to put my furniture on her show, or we would get Thermador appliances. We would get entire kitchens for free.
Yeah.
Flooring, paint, fabric. She had a whole line. Like I said, she had a whole line of furniture. So all of that furniture was for free. Lighting, all sorts of stuff. So we went for years like that. And as time went on and more design shows came along, less companies were giving things for free, and that kind of dwindled. And nowadays,
nothing is free anymore.
You don't get a lot of stuff for free. Now you do, you go on a television show and you get the design work is for free.
Right. That's
so
true.
The vast majority of design shows now are doing full-on renovations.
I think part of what happened too, especially for the suppliers, because eventually I became one of those suppliers once I was not on the shows anymore, is the only thing the supplier was now getting was, well, we'll put your name in the credits. And
right.
Then the credits were, here's the image of the show. The show would squeeze a little bit and the credits were over here and they went this fast.
Right.
It was worthless now. It meant zero to you to be a supplier giving your product for free to these shows that weren't even showcasing you anymore. They didn't have the ability to do it anymore. And I think a lot of that was the network sort of, the networks weren't allowing specific.
Right. We there was a point at which you had to stop saying names of things.
Right.
And yeah, that whole concept has totally evolved. In how shows get product, give product to homeowners, all of that kind of stuff. There's still free stuff, but you do get all the design work for free. So that's something that people need to know, is that all that design work and all that work that the associate designer and the assistant designer and the contractor and the project manager and all of those things are free to you.
Right. And that's, holy crap, that's very valuable.
Right. If you're doing a renovation and being on TV, you have a set timeline. So that's the other bonus to being on TV, is that there's no, oh, this isn't going to show up. So we're sorry, lady, your countertop's going to be a week late. In the real world, you can live without your countertop for a week, but in TV world, we don't have that.
Yeah, that was the one benefit of that for the homeowner, that it was going to be on time, no matter freaking what.
Right. And you get a finished space. If you hire a contractor to go and renovate your basement, he paints the walls and leaves.
Right.
He hangs the light fixtures, paints the walls and leaves. He doesn't put in your sofa. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything creative unless you came up with the creative thing, or you hired a designer to come up with the creative thing. Being on television, chances are, back in the Divine Design days, we kind of had to have the interesting things for people to see. A new product, something that lights up, or something that the TV that pops out of the frame, or it's behind a mirror.
Right.
All of those kinds of things. Or various different cool fireplaces and stone or backsplashes. So you see things, and you get a lot of things that you wouldn't get if you were just doing the stuff yourself.
It's not free anymore. The clients, the homeowners nowadays on these television shows pay for everything except the design work now.
Yeah, you do not sign up to go on a design show thinking you are getting a free ride.
Right.
Because you are not.
Right. So about 2007, let's just say, I got a Facebook, So I had already been working on a few design shows prior, Rooms That Rock, Take This House and Sell It. I had made myself a career working as the sewing guy who would pull up on his motorcycle and make you pretty curtains and pillows for a few years, but then that had all dried up. And prior to that, I had worked in the travel industry for 20 years.
I forgot that you had another job. You had a day job.
Yeah. For 20 years, I was an office guy I actually, when I left the last job, I worked in the IT department of a travel company. So, and I went through the travel industry during SARS and during 9/11, when the travel industry was collapsing. It's nothing like what happened to it right now with COVID and all that stuff. But I went through that, and what ended up happening is they weren't sure they were going to survive one of them. So when the second one happened, the company thought, I don't know that we're going to make it. I don't think we're going to survive this. Does anybody want to volunteer to take one day off a week without pay, and maybe collectively we can save the company? And I was already in the middle of, this is before television even, I was learning how to sew and make stuff, and I had all my friends letting me make stuff for their homes for free. And I went to them and I said, look, I'll leave if you want to pay me a severance. I'd been at the company for 11 years at that point. So I thought 11 years worth of severance, I can go and start my own business and figure this out. Anyway, this isn't about me, this is about you. So, but what had happened was, so I did that for a few years, got into television. Fast forward to the television dried up. I went back to the travel industry, and probably to the day, 2 weeks being back in the travel industry, I got a Facebook message from somebody on Facebook saying, hey, we're looking for somebody to do the sewing on an interior design show. Would you be interested? Keep it quiet, keep it on the DL. Nobody needs to know about this. They didn't want me to know which show it was. And that was you.
Yeah.
You're the one that reached out and got a hold of me, and I did the same thing. I had to go and audition. You guys had already been running for 7 years, I guess, at that point.
5 years.
5 years. So it was a well-oiled machine. It was already running. Edmund was the sewing guy, had been so for many years. He was already on there, but he was leaving the show for whatever reason. I think he moved away. So they had me come on and audition on an episode that you guys were already filming.
Yeah.
I showed up and did my little audition, and then I ended up getting the job. That's how you and I met.
Yes.
Was through that. And then because you were design supervisor, or what were you at that point? Design supervisor?
Design supervisor.
I got to deal with you a lot, or at least be on set. Like you and I used to hang out on set a lot and put up curtain rods and whatever.
Yeah.
But back to the designers doing all the work, my thing was, so on the other shows I had been on, I legit did everything. And that was one of those shows where, okay, you got 48 hours, go. And we really only had 48 hours. And I had no idea what I was making. I'd show up on set, day one, here's all your fabric. I need this, go. And I had 48 hours. I had to make everything that was take this house and sell it and have it all done. So that had all ended. I was back in the travel industry. I didn't want to sew anymore. I had decided to quit the industry, never mind just television, quit interior design, go back to travel. Fuck it. I can't. I was going through too much hell in my life with it because of money. It was bad, just put it that way. So I had told them, I said, yes, I want to do this. I'll come on, but I need to keep my full-time job and travel, do this only part-time, and I can't sew. And they were like, nobody on the show does it.
I was thinking about the period of time when Candice didn't do the design work because we had associate designers.
Yeah.
Chico didn't do the electrical work because he was too expensive, so we never used him. Paul or Lorne never did the real carpentry, and they were not the contractors.
Nope.
Because it was Danny or whoever,
or Rudy,
contractors were, or Rudy, or contractor John or somebody like that.
And those were all the 30 people standing behind the camera waiting for us jackasses to finish talking about
sewing. So you weren't doing the sewing.
Nope. Wait, did Edmund do the sewing though?
Yeah.
He did the sewing still. Okay.
Yeah. And then even there was a period of time where we had Andrew on camera painting instead of Bernie, but Bernie was the painter. I don't know how long that lasted, probably a year, where nobody on camera did the work.
I never did it. The whole 3 years I was on, there was only one. So I had a stunt double, I used to call him. His name's Bill. Hey, Bill. He did all the sewing. I would show up day one on set and they would go, okay, Terry, do you want to know what you made? And I go, yeah, sure, fill me in. So Candice and I would sit there and I go, okay, here you go. You made curtains, you made this, you made pillows, here's the fabrics. I'm like, oh,
Or we
nice.
would upholster, or you would upholster something,
Yeah,
and it was made.
I would upholster something.
Right? We would have it upholstered by Rudy, other Rudy,
Another Rudy.
Yeah.
But the sewing guy was Bill, and Bill would be there, and Bill did all of the work. But he had to go to a wedding one time. I think Lisa, his business partner at the time, she got married. So I did the sewing for one episode of the 3 years that I was on there. Otherwise, I didn't, none of that.
Well, I mean, it's hard to have the people who are on camera do the real work.
Well, and the point was, I actually can do it though. And I did do it for many years. I'm not an actor by any means. I'm not an actor. I'm terrible at it, by the way. And I don't want to be an actor. I really can do all that sewing. So I wasn't pretending to be that guy. I really was that guy. I just was tired. What's happening now too, it was already starting. And then of course, COVID pushed it, like really pushed it to the point where, but now it's, people are just going, I'm just going to do it.
Right.
The people are just going, you know what? F off. I'm just going to do this myself. Right. I got a camera in my phone and I got a YouTube channel, which is exactly what's happening here right now between you and I, right. and the other segments I'm starting to do. It's like, fuck it. I'm going to do it myself. That's enough. Yep. Maybe nothing's going to come of it. Maybe it's going to go nowhere, but I'm going to enjoy it and have fun while I do it. And I think, in my opinion, that's not even just design television, but movies and television and stuff like that. That's moving towards that.
Well, it's an evolution. And I think networks have to evolve. They have to get past this. I have to be careful what I say, but a lot of people watch things online and they stream it. So
at their own leisure, at their own schedule.
They don't sit down in their family rooms with their families at 8 o'clock, turn on their TV to HGTV and watch an episode of a show.
Right.
But a lot of people are streaming things. So it's just natural. There's no difference if you're streaming a thing that's on TV, or you're streaming a thing that's on YouTube, or you're streaming a thing that's on Instagram Live, or all of those things now are all the same to people.
And some of those other things, the newer ones like Instagram and YouTube and all that, are getting way more viewers and eyes watching it than any of the TV shows we used to watch at 8 o'clock every Thursday night or whatever.
And another interesting thing when it comes to Contra, a lot of companies who were giving product to television shows now give product to influencers. Yeah. Because they can give, for example, that Vicky, what was her name? Vicky Sanders?
Oh, Vicky Sanderson, yeah.
Vicky Sanderson.
Right.
You know, and she gets stuff because I'm going to write an article about your product. I'm going to renovate my bathroom and I will promote the crap out of your Kohler product.
Yeah.
Or, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And I have millions of, I mean, I don't know if Vicky's a good example because she was in print and all that kind of stuff. But younger influencers are getting all the Contra stuff because it's a one-time thing. Here's a bunch of product and they have millions of followers.
They have way more eyes on it.
Way more
than any TV show could get.
I guess I've been lucky because I have worked with a lot of hosts on shows that are very well respected. So, and I have had to get Contra in a lot of the shows that I've worked on.
So to that, let's make that our next topic. You have been, like you said, lucky enough, you worked with a lot of the big names in the design industry. You've had Candice, obviously.
I worked with Candice. I worked with Candice again on her second show. I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of things on a lot of different shows. I've been a casting director. So I've been a design assistant. I've been an associate designer. I've been a design supervisor. I've been a casting director, a construction coordinator. I've been a story producer. I am currently a project manager. where was I going with this?
We were talking about the people that you've actually, the names that you've
right.
been with the Property Brothers.
Right. So I worked with Candice. I did a whole bunch of episodes of Love It or List It.
Yeah, with Hilary and
David.
Yeah.
As an associate designer. And
they're coming back to Toronto, eh?
They're coming back to Toronto to shoot. And I did a few episodes of a show called Love It or List It Vacation Home. And then I worked with the Property Brothers. I did a season of Property Brothers.
Yeah, you've worked with Sarah Keenly-Side on Backyard Builds.
I worked on Backyard Builds with Sarah and Brian.
Another mutual friend of ours, Sarah. But by the way, speaking of working behind the scenes, that's where Sarah got her start. She was a behind the scenes person on Divine Design.
Divine Design, yes.
Was she on Candice Tells All as well?
Yes.
She was.
Yeah.
And then she ended up on television with her own TV show. Good for her.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I don't want to tell Sarah's story because you'll probably have Sarah on at some point if she has time. But she actually left television to go and do real world design. That's the other thing about when you're in TV design, you never really do real world stuff. I've worked with lots of people who went straight into TV design and they never went out and worked in the real world. I'm a big fan of telling designers, because I've worked with, like I said, I've worked with a lot of people who just came out of school, came to work on TV shows. If you ever want to be a real world designer, you need to go out and do it, because you're never going to be a real world designer if you stay in television for 20 years, like me.
and the only reason is because it keeps you there. I don't think it means you're not eligible, because you sure as fuck are. If anything, you're more eligible because of the timelines, all the crap that happens, the stuff that you have to figure out no matter what, because that is being shot and that has to happen.
Yes.
I bet you that's way tougher training than real world design.
Yeah. Well, I always consider every show I ever worked on and every design we ever did, I'm part of that design.
Yep.
So, we did 250 episodes of Divine Design. So that's 250 projects.
Every single episode of Divine Design, that's you.
Right.
Yep.
And then when I was the associate designer for Love It, that's all my work too.
Yeah.
It's just the credit is some television designers are fine with credit to the person who's the associate designer. They didn't need the homeowners to believe that it was them. Candice, for example, never, there was never a mandate that everybody had to believe it was Candice, and there was no other bodies or Love It or List It was also.
But I think though Candice was still doing a lot of work. Right up to the end, she was still involved. Like I remember going up and finding her in some hidden kid's bedroom, sitting at some tiny little kid's desk beside a crib, working on actual drawings for 2, 3, 4 episodes from now coming up. She was always, as soon as the cameras were off, she was grabbing a broom and a dustpan and she was helping and cleaning up. Like she pulled her weight around there for sure, big time.
Candice was always hands-on. The episodes always had to look like they were done by Candice. That's another thing. We went through a large period of time where Candice had very little input into it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We had Jennifer.
Jennifer? Yeah.
We had Carol. I was an associate designer. We got to this point where Andrew was she had done episodes. Allison, Sarah. So people had all done episodes, and those episodes had to look like they were done by Candice.
Okay.
But whereas when I worked on Love It or List It, though every episode did not have to look like it was Hilary. None of it really looked like Hilary Farr design, because Hilary Farr is a very high-end, talented designer on her own, and it was the same kind of thing.
And now, where are you now?
So right now I work for Scott McGillivray on
Super Hottie.
Super Hottie. I did a stint in an art department for a fashion competition show. So that was something that I had never done before.
What was it called? Stitch It. Yeah, or Stitch. I remember that. I forgot about that. Yeah,
And
you're
that
right.
was the reason I did that was because my very good friend Desta, who you've talked to,
Yeah.
on
Desta.
her show, she was on Love It or List It, and we remained friends. And she got this gig as as the art director on Stitch, brought me in, and I did. Stitch was a completely different thing. Studio, art department.
Right.
We were creating weird things.
It was like Project Runway.
It was like Project Runway. Yeah.
Right.
It was, they get rid of one and they get rid of, it was smaller, more like Chopped.
Right.
They get rid of, it was like smaller segments. Yeah, so I did that. And then I went and did a digital series with Scott called Scott's House Call.
Right, and that was online, right?
Right, which is a good example of, because that was, 4 years ago. So it was kind of the start of these little mini digital design shows.
Yeah, that's where it's going now.
Yeah, it was here's the before, here's the people, here's a little bit of the reno, and here's the after. Quick little everything everybody wants in a show. No big dramatic stuff.
Fake dramatic stuff.
That fake dramatic stuff.
Fuck me.
Yeah. So I worked with that with Scott on that, and then I went and now I am the project manager on Scott's Vacation House Rules.
What season you guys in right now?
We are almost finished season 2, and we are casting and preparing for season 3.
No way. Good for you.
We still have a season after that. Flash forward to, working on Scott's. I'm back working with Angela Jennings, who was the person who gave me my first job in television.
Divine Design.
Yes. 18 years. Now 19 years this summer.
Dude, Divine Design was the design show to watch. Right. It was the number one, the best one. The Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian tweeted about it one time.
Right.
It was huge.
It was kind of it went from, before that, there were things like Debbie Travis Painted House.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, Debbie Travis.
But that wasn't a design show.
That was back in the DIY phase of design.
Right. Even back then, even Sarah Richardson's shows were not full-on design shows.
She used to sit in front of a sewing machine making things when she first started. What was it called? Room service.
Room service.
Yeah.
Right. So those, design shows were teeny tiny little one-room makeover shows. And then, the Divine Design kind of evolved from, we're just going to put curtains in first season. I remember we did a dining room for a family, and basically they didn't understand. They didn't understand that they weren't keeping everything.
Oh, they didn't get to keep everything back then?
Everything, but they got to keep, the things, the what we did to the wall, because we almost always did a wall treatment.
Right.
They got to keep the light fixture and the drapes. Everything else in that room we took back because it was all borrowed.
When I worked on Rooms at Rock, we did kids' rooms, and it was the same thing. We'd go, okay, 9-year-old, come in and see this amazing bedroom, and they'd be like, oh my God, it's amazing, it's amazing. Turn off the cameras. Okay, start packing it all up, put it into boxes, and walk out of the house with it. It was devastating for those poor little guys. Yeah. Jesus.
That kind of stuff evolved, because when I worked on Love It, we left everything down to the vase. We didn't, down to the towels hanging on the towel bar.
But with Love It, though, too, it was known that they weren't moving or were moving or whatever. What was the deal there? Are we allowed to talk about that? Well, it's all over the internet.
Right. And the story of Love It or List It is it's supposed to be a couple, and they're divided between, do we want to stay and renovate our home, or do we want to move?
Right.
I think people are savvy enough now that they know that on a real estate show, they can't go out and shoot a bunch of houses. So Love It or List It's different because you're renovating the house you already own. But some people did move, but nobody could ever move to the house that they saw on the show, because those houses were gone by the time, the length of time that it takes to shoot a show.
Right.
Whereas if you look at a show like Property Brothers, for example, Those people are looking for, they look at 3 properties and choose one to buy.
Right.
They already own this one. Because you can't go and go, we're going to go and look at 3 properties and then all of them sold or all of them go over bidder. And then you have a whole episode of, oh, okay, well, we didn't get a house. So what do we do now?
Right. So on there, they already own the house that they're going to pick.
They've already bought it. Same thing when you look at, when you watch shows like House Hunters and all of that.
Right.
They've already bought that. They've bought one of those houses that they've gone to look at. They've already bought. They had to, or you'd have a whole show, and you'd go, "Oh, well, we couldn't buy any of the houses."
Yeah, when we did Take This House and Sell It, those people were actually really were trying to sell their house. We would go in. That's why I think it was legitimately okay. We really only have 48 hours to stage it, to what's that called, flip it, to try to fix it up for them, and then they would try to sell it. So, and usually by the time it aired, whatever they would tell the truth at the end of every episode. They would say, hey, the house sold, or the house never did sell, because there was enough time that passed by that we've already left. You kept the house on the market, and then they would say whether it sold or not. All right, so now you're doing Scott's show, and what's the premise of Vacation House?
So Scott's Vacation House Rules.
Yep.
Which you've been on.
Well, oh yeah. Yeah. the funny thing is, because they come here.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like I was on.
You were on it.
I forget that I'm on that show because they come here to my shop, so it doesn't feel like I went anywhere and filmed anything.
Right.
It feels different, and I forget. Yeah, I've only been on once, but we filmed the second one that hasn't aired yet. But what's the premise?
So the premise is that Scott is helping people who own second properties to take those properties and rent them out as to get short-term rental income. But we've done, which the episode you were on was a coach house. Yeah. At the back in downtown Kingston.
It looked amazing when they were done. I heard the clients didn't like it.
She didn't. It was too dark. It was too dark.
We haven't talked about what people actually think when they're done.
The vast majority of people like it. I have stories from Divine where we had a couple who liked it but wanted money for all of the furniture because in the meantime they had decided they were selling the house and moving to England. So they wanted it, they said, can you take all the furniture back and give us the money for it? Whereas all the furniture was free because it was all when
it was all free stuff. That was back in the days of more free.
So it's like, you can sell it if you want to. You know, we had a woman who, when she found out she didn't get to keep everything in the bedroom, she wanted everything taken out of the bedroom, even the things that we custom built for her. I did work on a show that had a lot of homeowners who were not happy. A lot of homeowners who were not happy.
Really?
Yes, it was kind of the way the show, it wasn't the premise of the show, but the vast majority, when you see the edited, finished show, you don't see we don't do shows anymore where you want people to go in and not like something. There's no show out there who wants to do a renovation in your house where they want to shock you, like Trading Spaces. Never wants. There's that kind of show can't even exist anymore.
No, people
are way too savvy, like with HomeSense and H&M Home and Simon Home and all. Like people know design and they can get stuff. It's like Trading Spaces could never happen again because the rooms would look too good unless you purposely made them look like crap.
Well, and I imagine now that they're actually paying a lot of money for this, they probably have a lot of say in what's actually going to end up looking like.
Right. People, yes, you are investing.
It's not a surprise anymore.
Right. There's still stuff. There's still elements of in the show that I'm working on now. There's lots of things that people don't know. They know if we're going to, we're going to build a bedroom, or we're going to change this room to a bathroom, or we're going to rip out your kitchen. They know all of that kind of stuff. Or we're going to put all new windows in, or we're going to build a deck. They know all of that stuff. They don't know the color of the deck. They don't know the color of the kitchen. They don't know the color of the paint, or they don't know the flooring, all of that kind of stuff.
We try to do that we have our own interior design company now. We try, because I come from that TV world.
You want to have the reveal.
That's what I want every single project we do. I want that. I want to lock all their doors, and I don't want them to look until we're done. Even on Divine Design, we have, because while they're filming something, everybody has to shut up and nobody can speak. So if they're filming something separate with Candice, all of us have to huddle into another room somewhere in the house and just be quiet and hang out and wait for them to finish. And we have been in some nasty homes, Stephen.
Yes.
Like where
we are renovating the house and the rest of the house is disgusting.
Disgusting. Like really bad. And I remember there was one.
Do you remember the cartoon guy?
That's what I was just going to say.
We were down in the basement, and the one roommate lived down in the basement, but we had to stay in the basement because we were doing the entire main floor.
But makeup was upstairs in somebody's bedroom, and there was just plates of food that had been there for, I'm sure, over a year, underwear everywhere. It was filthy, filthy dirty. That's where makeup was. And I had heard that somebody had to go back for some reason. Only a couple weeks after we had finished, maybe there was some knob or something that had to be, we're just short one knob. They went back a couple weeks later and the place was a disaster. Yeah. The place that we had renovated was a mess. I think something was broken. I can't remember what it was. Maybe one of the kitchen cupboard doors. It was a disaster. What a waste.
Yeah.
Like, why bother?
Well, I always thought it was very interesting. And actually, we were talking about this last week, that we do these makeovers to these cottages, because cottages are by nature, you take up all your crap, right? We don't want this chair anymore, or grandma died and we're going to take all of her furniture. Let's take it up to the cottage.
Yeah.
Or what we run into is so they're full of garbage furniture. And then it's like nobody ever hires a handyman or a contractor to work on the cottage.
No.
It's dad who doesn't know how to do anything. But when he's at the cottage, I can do this plumbing, or I can do the electrical work, or
I got masking tape. I can
do. So we see things like extension cords inside walls. We see things like pipes or pieces of wood holding up sinks. But we redo them, and we redo almost the entire cottage.
Yeah, I'd love to see a show like that where
we go back.
Yeah. Let's go back and see all those episodes that we did on Divine Design. What do they look like now?
I would love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see. All right, Stephen, we're gonna do yay or nay. I haven't decided what I'm gonna call it yet. I can't use dig it or ditch it now because that's the thing. And I'm the one that came up with that, by the way.
Don't give people your ideas.
I know. So I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. Let's just do yay or nay for now.
I love it.
So Pantone has announced their new colors for 2021.
Oh.
Ultimate Gray and Illuminating. I want to, what are your views on these colors?
Well, I recently painted my entire apartment from gray and got rid of all of the gray and went to creams and earth tones because I was sick to death of gray. And I thought people were sick to death of gray.
I think they are.
I've always been a fan of warm gray, which, because I come from a design background, we call French gray. So I've always liked grays that are more they were always things like, they were called like stone or
mink gray.
Yeah, like warmer grays, not steely grays, not bluey grays. So I got rid of everything. All my walls were gray. My bedroom was a dark gray. I had a dark gray wall in my dining room. My furniture was gray.
Right.
my bed, like everything was gray. My kitchen was gray. Got rid of all the gray and went to cream. So it's all just like a nice light cream. And yellow is one of my least favorite colors ever.
For me, seeing these two together as well, it's there's a certain decade where everything was gray and yellow, and I can't remember which one it was, but I don't like it. Like it seems really dated to me. It seems really old.
Yes.
I like the yellow, like that yellow on that paint fans thing there. That's kind of a
Yeah.
neat yellow,
Yeah.
but yeah, I know. I don't know. Did you see our?
I don't mind darker, like a golden yellow, like a goldenrod kind of yellow.
Yeah, marigold, like Desta said in our gray
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
Yeah, like a deeper gold, but I'm not a big fan of lemon yellow. So no.
Ew.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in the
I'm done
Pantone
with
colors.
gray. I think everybody painted everything gray for years.
So, if you were Steven Pantone, what's your color of the year?
When I redid my apartment, I just happen to have something here. I like this color,
Oh my God.
which we call cognac.
Look what I was
So
just, I was just looking at this.
I like this kind
Yeah.
of, and I have a lot of, it works with a lot of woods. So, and
Yeah.
it just seemed to be popping up in a lot of stuff that I had. So I just kind of ran with it. So I've got vintage teak chairs, which I'm sitting in. Which, can you see it? Can you see it?
I can see a little bit. Yeah.
Kind of have that golden, kind of golden wood color.
Yeah.
My floors are parquet oak, which are like a lighter version of that golden wood. So I'm kind of into this. Cognac color.
So that would be your color of 2021.
Yes, is cognac and cream.
Yeah, I think the warmer tones are coming back for sure. The more natural tones.
Yeah. I went from a kind of a mid-century feel to more of a 70s bohemian type feel. I wanted more comfort and casual. And I mean, initially I was trying for simpler, cleaner, because I thought I could live like that.
Yeah. Live like what it looks like on the cover of a magazine.
I mean, I got rid of a lot of stuff. Kind of went through the, do I care about this? Do I want this? Do I need this?
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I purged a lot of stuff. Just because I wanted it to feel different and look different. And I reused some stuff. I got stuff, I painted some stuff. I changed the top on a coffee table.
You changed the seats on your dining chairs. We did that for you.
Some dining chairs. I wallpapered a wall.
Yeah, you did a grass cloth, right? I saw that on Facebook. It's really nice. I like it.
Grass cloth. I moved my rogues gallery, which is behind me.
Yeah.
I've had one of those for quite a few years, but it used to be on a much smaller wall. There's a lot of personal things on it, and it's a good way to display a bunch of stuff that maybe wouldn't relate if you spread it all out. But because you've kind of grouped it together, the reason it works together is because it means something to you. That kind of thing.
100%. Doesn't I don't give a shit if somebody else doesn't like it. It means something to me.
I don't care either. And I mean, I do care that, well, if we go back to Mike's project, for example, I do care. I like the fact that things mean something. I like history. I like curated. I like that you like it, but I also like that you've made it so that it all works together.
Right.
It has some cohesion. It has some, it's not just, oh, there's a piece and there's a piece and there's a piece and there's nothing that ties anything together, that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's the difference between, oh, I like it, and making it work in your space.
Yeah, but the thing with Mike is you can tell he doesn't like it.
Right. He likes the pieces. They just don't work in the space when you just pile them all on top of each other.
And just in case for people that are listening or watching, Mike is somebody that we're going to be doing a What's Your Problem episode on. And just as a precursor, he has a 1-bedroom apartment in downtown Toronto and can seat 32 people. That's insane. I love it. God love him. All right, I got some personal questions. You ready for this? Nothing that personal, don't worry. What's your favorite movie? If right now, when we end this call and go, oh, there, I have nothing left to do for the day, what would be the one movie?
God, it depends. It could be The Devil Wears Prada.
Good. I like that.
It could be Moulin Rouge. It could be Sunset Boulevard, the black and white version. I like a lot of old movies. I like All About Eve. I like Hairspray, the non-musical version, the Ricky Lake version.
With Divine, that one, the original version, the real version.
I love the movie version of West Side Story.
Okay, that's enough. If right now, if you turned on your phone to your media player and pushed play, what song would come on?
Very good question. Because I turned off my music just to, you want to hear it?
Yeah. Oh, wait, no. Oh, we'll get flagged.
Oh. Right now, it's Celine Dion, I Drove All Night.
Like a remix or original?
No, the original, the dance version.
Okay. Nice. If you were not in design, what would you want to do? What would you want to be doing as your career right now?
I wouldn't have mind trying to be an actor.
But you're too anxious for that.
Yeah, but I am now. I think if I had, but a lot of people who act,
yeah, that's
are
true.
one way when they're acting.
Yeah.
A lot of actors are like that, and
actually, I bet you 80% of them or more are like
part of
that.
the reason. It's part of the reason that they're actors, right?
All right. Does that go into what would be your talent or skill you wish you had, other than acting, obviously?
I wish I could sing. Well, I can kind of, but I wish I could really sing.
Oh, do you want to sing a song for us right now?
No. I can carry a tune, but I don't. I can't. I'm not a singer.
I've always wanted to be able to play the piano, like be able to just sit down and just play the piano.
I cannot play a musical instrument to save my life.
No.
I don't have the hand-eye coordination to play musical instruments. That's why I thought I could sing.
I don't know how they do that. I can't even type without looking at the keyboard. Never mind play an instrument.
It's the same reason I can't play sports. I don't have any hand-eye coordination.
Oh, that's why you don't play sports?
Yes, that's why I don't.
All right. One last question. Would you date yourself?
Would I date myself, or would I date somebody who was just like me? If I wasn't me, would I date myself? Yes. Would I date somebody who's just like me? No.
Right. No, I mean, like if you were not you, would you date
If I was not me, I would date me.
That's good.
But if I was like me, I wouldn't want to date me. I've never dated anybody who was just like me. Like a lot of people do. A lot of people, right. Especially nowadays, when you see couples like Instagram couples, and they're both like constantly taking photos of themselves. Like I'm always like, oh, isn't that nice that they found each other because they're both like that? Like, how do you go out and find somebody who's like that?
Well, in all fairness, when I first met you, you had a Facebook page with somebody you were with at the time. You guys shared a Facebook page.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did. We did not do anything separately.
I thought that was your name.
Yes. Nobody knew who was what.
No.
Yeah.
Because your name was second, his name was first. So I thought the name was that Steven, and Steven was the last name.
No.
All right.
I would never be in I never have been in a relationship where I was like that.
That was the only time?
Yes, where it was, too much living in each other's pocket.
I think that person's like that still.
That person might watch this. So watch out. But yes, he is.
Hey, person.
Yes, he is. Which is fine.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I'm jealous of it most of the time. I wish some days, but mostly I wouldn't want that. Okay. I know that you only work in design television. You're not looking for side hustles, but
Correct.
where can people find you?
You can go to my Instagram page. What is my Instagram page called? Question.
What is it? Is it Steven
That's
Southgate
actually
ID?
Yeah, I think no. Steven Southgate, 67.
Okay. At Steven, I'll put it up on the screen and I'll put
At
it down
Steven
below.
Southgate 67. And follow me on Instagram.
All right.
That's about it. I have a Twitter, but I don't go there.
Yeah, I have a Twitter too. I never ever ever look at it.
Twitter. I go through Twitter,
Yeah.
but I'm not like I like Instagram because I'm visual.
Yeah.
So I just like, because it's photographs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas Instagram's a lot of words and opinions.
Oh, opinion. That's the problem right now. Yeah.
Everybody has an opinion.
Instagram's it seems to be for now safe from all that. Even Facebook is just the debates on mask or no mask and vaccines. And it's like, oh my God, everybody just shut up. I just want to see nice things right now. And Instagram's still good for that.
Facebook gets hijacked.
Oh,
like you can post something and then people hijack it.
Yep.
On, to their own conversations or their own points of view or all of that. And it's fine. You put it out there, whatever. Instagram's just more, here, look at what I ate. Here, look at my shoes. Here, look at my new piece of art. Here, look at my weird lemon that's all skin.
I saw that. Yeah. Yeah. An all peel lemon.
all peel and all pith and no juice.
All right, Steven, thank you for doing this. Everybody go visit him on Instagram, but don't bug him to come and do your space because he doesn't want to do that.
Watch all my television shows.
And also watch for him on here because we're going to do we're going to help some people just with advice. Don't worry, Steven, I won't make you do anything further.
We love advice. Here, do this. Bye. That's my favorite thing.
All right, bye, Steven.
Bye, Terry.
Who the fuck is that?